Hey, yo, yeah, it's Juan Garcia reporting for Ninja Pop News. As we all know, two games have come out this week. Dead Space 3 and Sly Copper Thieves in Time. First one I want to talk about, which is, I think, probably the better of both of them, would be Sly Copper Thieves in Time. For all you guys that don't know the Sly Copper series, it was a staple point for the PlayStation 2, for the first-party PlayStation 2 series, along with Jak and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank. Getting a chance to play the game again is a bit nostalgic. Now, there isn't necessarily any more change-ups than what you saw on, let's say, the Sly Copper collection that came out about 2 years back. It's not necessarily that big of a change-up. It's a different storyline, but it still is a fun game if you're looking for something. If you're looking for that feeling of nostalgia. Now, I am going to leave you with one thing. I'm not going to leave any spoilers to the game, but the final boss that you beat in the game is all QTEs. Nothing but quick time elements. Now, that's one issue that I have with it. Moving along with that, because it's honestly a good game. I had no complaints about it. Controls were good. Everything about the game was good. I'm going to give that a 3 out of 5. But I want to focus on the game that was supposed to be a staple point for February, and that's Dead Space 3. Oh my God, what can I say? I mean, what I saw, what I played in that demo is not what I played in that game. I played that game through the brim, and I played it in co-op, everything, and it's just not a fun, it just was not a scary game that you know Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2 to be. That one level that you played on the demo is the only part of fright that you're going to have. Everything is just regular survival horror that you've seen in Resident Evil. And of course, you're on that planet Tau Voltus. You get a chance to play as John Carver if you're doing the co-op. But there's nothing towards this game that leads you to anything frightening. You have the exact same elements that's been in all the other Dead Space games. Okay, you have to meet up with a partner. You suddenly, the next chapter, you end up getting separated from that partner, and you have to meet him up again. Then that partner dies. Then you have to meet up with another partner. That's basically the entire storyline in it all. It was interesting, I would say, to see humans as an enemy in this game, along with the necromorphs, because let's face it, it was bound to happen. But in a sense, it does draw away from a little bit of the survival horror aspect that this game was supposed to have. And the fact that it's being labeled as survival horror to me is just absolutely terrible. It's not a survival horror, it's an action third-person shooter. What I do want to put up on the bright side would be the weapons crafting. The weapons crafting is something that was absolutely amazing. It's very good that you can put a pulse generator on with the shotgun mix, and you can make this pulse shotgun, or you can make a pulse flamethrower. I thought that was something very amazing. The suits are very cool. That's nothing usual. The graphics are good. The controls are actually tighter than they were in number 2. But back to the storyline, I just want to point this out. In Dead Space 1, you had this feeling of claustrophobia, and when any corner you turned in Dead Space 1 on Ishimura, you saw just, you didn't know what was going to happen. You had your expectations were always. Your expectations were always exceeded higher because of what you saw. And with Dead Space 2, which I put it on point of Resident Evil 2. It's that good of a game, because not only were you stuck on this gigantic space station, it had some of the most memorable moments of that game. I remember clear as day walking into that daycare center, and you see the mother walking up to her necromorph child, and the necromorph explodes and kills not only the child, but also the mother. That is one of the most powerful scenes in gaming that I do remember, and it's a very frightening scene. Towards the end of the game, when you get to the issue, when you actually see the Ishimura for another time, you get that nostalgic feeling in your heart, and then you see it all wrapped up in sheets which to me, that was one of the way the sheets flew around. You didn't necessarily know if you were going to see a necromorph or if you weren't going to see a necromorph. It played a psychological trick on you, and that's one of the reasons why I consider Dead Space 2 to be one of the best games of this generation, not only, but of video games as a whole. Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2 are just that good. But you go to Dead Space 3, and it's like Capcom got a hold of it and said, you know what, we were going to do this with Resident Evil 6, but here, EA, here, you guys can have it, you know, you guys can have this. We're not going to do anything with it. So, I mean, we're just sitting back, and I just got to say, Versicle has not done a good job with this game. It really angers me. And also, something I've left out that I think is a drastic change-up, and something that I think is absolutely stupid, would be the microtransactions that EA has put on this game. I don't understand why you have microtransactions on this game. The comment that the EA official made was, we felt that younger players would understand microtransactions because the games that they play on their cell phones and the games that they play on the PC have microtransactions. Here's the issue: the games with microtransactions cost $5 or less, or they're free. Just get that in your mind, EA. $5 or free. And the microtransactions that they have actually helps the developers create more stuff. That's one of the reasons why Angry Birds is free, and if you want no commercials on it, you have to purchase the game. And there's clearly a lot of other games that's like that. Why you decided to put microtransactions in a $65 game, to me, is just unbelievable. Now, I will defend you guys to the brim end about Mass Effect 3. I am going to bring up Mass Effect 3 because, let's face it, this is a lot like Mass Effect 3. And in fact, it's worse. Mass Effect 3, I will defend you guys. I don't mind the Day 1 DLC. I didn't mind it. I didn't have to buy it that day. I didn't mind the endings. In fact, for BioWare, I absolutely love the endings. But for what you're doing now is actually hurting you guys more than it's making you guys money. And you guys have to EA, one point, has to understand, they are one of the most hated publishers out there. I mean, with all the good stuff you have, the Battlefield franchise, the Mirror's Edge franchise, you have some of the greatest franchises out there, and yet you're hated. And it's not just because of the microtransactions. It's because of your DRM. It's because of Origin. It's because of everything that you're doing, and you're not realizing that that you guys are hurting your company more than you're helping it. Now, I'm going to leave it alone. I'm just going to leave that alone. If anybody from EA manages to watch this video and the Dead Space 3 review, I'm just going to tell you guys right now, I give this game a 1 out of 5 because it's that bad. It's EA and Versicle's Resident Evil 6. I can't stop saying that because it's that bad in my opinion, and you guys need to try harder if you're going to come out with a Dead Space 4, because this is just, it's mind-boggling. And the fact that you would end this game on such a terrible, terrible route towards the end of this generation with your number 3, that just doesn't make any sense for me. That just does not make any sense. I'm going to leave it alone. If you guys have played Dead Space 3, I want you guys to message me. Please message me. Give me your comments as to how you feel about this game. You know what to do. Message me on PlayStation Network. Message me on Xbox Live. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Give me your feedback. I want to know how you guys feel about EA doing this to you, because essentially they're hurting themselves and they're hurting the customers with DRM and microtransactions. I'm Juan Garcia, aka irmac77, and I'm signing out. And remember, you're not having fun if you don't have a controller.